Working the night shift is already unsettling, but some people realize they're not as alone as they think. Story 1. The silence of the archives at 3 a.m. isn't empty. It has weight. It's a pressurized, suffocating stillness that makes your own pulse sound like a frantic drumbeat against the drum of your ear. I've worked the graveyard shift at the Municipal Records Building for 6 months. It's a tomb of paper, miles of microfilm, decaying blueprints, and death certificates filed in steel cabinets that smell of cold iron and stagnant dust. My job is simple: digitize the backlogged files from the 1950s. It was Tuesday when the rhythm of my routine first skipped a beat. I was scanning a stack of property deeds near the back of the stacks, a dim, labyrinthine section where the fluorescent lights flicker with rhythmic, sickly coughs. I heard it near the end of the aisle, the distinct wet thwack of a heavy ledger hitting the floor. I froze, my hand hovering over the scanner. "Hello?" I called out. My voice sounded thin, swallowed instantly by the thousands of pages surrounding me. Silence returned, heavier than before. I told myself it was a shelf collapse. Gravity is a common enemy in a building this old. I walked to the end of the aisle, my flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. Nothing there. Just a row of cabinets, pristine and undisturbed. I let out a breath, feeling foolish, and turned to head back to my desk. That's when I saw it. On the concrete floor, right where I had been standing just moments before, were footprints. They weren't shoes. They were damp, irregular patches of moisture, shaped vaguely like human feet, but elongated, the toes splayed wide and sharp. They weren't leading away. They were pointing directly at my desk. A cold, metallic taste flooded my mouth. I didn't run. You don't run in a building where the exits are locked from the outside until dawn. I walked, keeping my back to the shelves, my eyes darting into the dark pockets between the rows. Every shadow seemed to stretch, reaching for me with spindly, ink-stained fingers. I reached my workstation, heart hammering against my ribs, and sat down. I pulled the security monitor onto my screen. The grainy night vision feed showed the main floor, the hallway, and the rows of cabinets. I scanned the rows. Row A, empty. Row B, empty. Row C, empty. Then I looked closer at the monitor for row D, the aisle I'd just vacated. The camera feed showed something my eyes hadn't seen from the ground. Standing at the far end of the aisle, pressed flat against the wall like a shadow detached from its master, was a figure. It was tall, impossibly thin, and draped in what looked like gray, waterlogged rags. It wasn't moving. It was just watching the door to my office. I reached for the phone to call the security desk, but the wire had been cleanly severed. The line was dead. The lights in the office flickered once, twice, and then cut out completely. In the absolute dark, I heard it, the slow, wet sound of something dragging itself across the linoleum, moving toward my door. I'm typing this on my phone, hidden under the desk. The handle to the door is turning. It's not a frantic jiggle. It's slow, deliberate, and patient. It knows I'm still here. Story 2. The security monitor in the gatehouse flickers, a rhythmic click hiss that syncs perfectly with my pulse. It's 3:14 a.m. The industrial park is a graveyard of silent, heavy machinery and empty lots, illuminated only by the buzzing, jaundiced glow of sodium lights. I've worked the night shift at the Meridian Logistics Center for 6 months. I like the emptiness. It's predictable, or it was. It started a week ago with the perimeter alarms. Zone 4, the northern loading dock, kept tripping. Every time I checked the feed, there was nothing. Just the rain-slicked asphalt and the swaying shadow of a chain-link fence. Tonight, the alarm hasn't tripped, but the silence feels heavy, pressurized, like the air right before a thunderstorm. I pour a cup of lukewarm coffee, my eyes tracking the row of screens. Camera 6, the interior hallway of the warehouse, shows a long, sterile corridor. My gaze drifts to the coffee, then back to the screen. My breath hitches. A shadow is standing at the far end of the hallway. It isn't a trick of the light. It's a dense, matte void that seems to swallow the fluorescent glare around it. It's standing perfectly still, facing the camera. I lean in, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Hello?" I mutter, the sound pathetic and thin in the reinforced booth. The figure twitches. It doesn't walk. It simply shifts forward, a sudden, jarring change in position that covers 20 feet in a microsecond. My stomach drops. I hit the intercom button. "This is security. State your business or I'm calling the police." The screen flickers. Static ripples across the feed, and for a split second, the figure is right in front of the lens. It's tall, unnaturally so, with pale, elongated limbs draped in something that looks like damp industrial insulation. It has no face, just a smooth, concave depression where features should be. I scramble backward, my chair clattering to the floor. I look up at the screen again. The hallway is empty. I don't wait. I grab my radio, my hands shaking so violently I can barely press the call button. I need to get to the main office, to the light, to anywhere that isn't this glass-walled box. I step out into the night, the cold air biting at my skin. The silence of the park is gone. Instead, there is a low, rhythmic scraping sound coming from the metal siding of the warehouse behind me. It sounds like fingernails dragging across corrugated steel. I turn, my flashlight beam cutting through the dark. I sweep the light across the loading docks. There, 20 feet away, crouched behind a forklift, the shadow is unfolding itself. It stands up, head hitting the rafters, and the scraping sound stops. It tilts its head, mirroring my movement. I'm locked out of the main building. The gatehouse is behind me. The darkness feels like it's closing in, thick and suffocating. As I turn to run, I realize the flickering street lights are going out, one by one, trailing the thing as it steps into the light.